There's a matchup buried in the World Cup 2026 group stage that almost nobody is talking about, and it might end up being one of the most fascinating 90 minutes of the entire tournament. Not because of history, not because of rivalry, because of contrast. On one side, Uzbekistan, built like a fortress, disciplined, patient, allergic to chaos. On the other, Colombia. They don't play football, they perform it. Flair, rhythm, improvisation, the kind of attacking talent that can turn a backline inside out in 4 seconds. So here's the question this entire match comes down to. Can structure stop magic? Stay with me, because this one might surprise you. If you're new here, this is football kick theory. We don't do generic match previews. We break down the why behind every fixture, the tactics, the matchups, the moments that decide games before the first whistle even blows. If that's the kind of football breakdown you're here for, hit subscribe right now, because we're covering every group stage match like this one, all tournament long. Now let's get into it. Uzbekistan didn't arrive at this World Cup by accident. Over the past few years, they've quietly built one of the most disciplined setups in Asian football, a team that almost never panics, rarely collapses under pressure, and makes opponents work for every single yard of space. Their identity in one sentence: frustrate first, strike second. What makes them dangerous? A compact defensive block, sharp tactical discipline, and lethal counterattacks down the wide channels. What could undo them? They struggle to create against teams that sit deep. Their finishing isn't elite yet, and if they're forced to chase a game, things can unravel fast. Colombia are the opposite story entirely. This is a team built on rhythm and individual brilliance. When they're flowing, they can dismantle any defense on the planet. Their identity in one sentence: control the tempo, then explode. What makes them dangerous? A world-class attacking midfield, electric wing play, and transition speed that punishes hesitation. What could undo them? Defensive lapses under sustained pressure, a tendency to overcommit forward, and real vulnerability to teams that counter with pace and precision. Exactly what Uzbekistan specializes in. This is the matchup hiding inside the matchup. The players who decide this. For Uzbekistan, everything funnels through 3 names. Eldor Shomurodov is the focal point up top. His hold-up play and experience at this level matter more than people realize. Odiljon Hamrabekov is the engine in midfield, the player whose job is to break Colombia's rhythm before it starts. And keep an eye on Abdukadir Kusanov, a young defender with a composure that already looks well beyond his age. For Colombia, it starts with Luis Díaz. One-on-one, he's the kind of player who can unravel a defensive structure in a single move. Then there's James Rodríguez, the creative brain of the team, capable of splitting a low block with one perfectly weighted pass. And up front, John Cordoba brings the physical edge, a striker built to dominate in the air and finish the chances that James creates. Fatigue and rotation could shift all of this, especially for Colombia's high-intensity attackers, who don't have an off switch. The tactical battle. This is where the match actually gets decided. Expect Uzbekistan to sit in a compact 4-2-3-1, maybe even shifting to a 5-4-1 in spells. Their entire game plan built around 3 things: clog the central lanes, force Colombia wide, and absorb pressure without panicking. Colombia, in contrast, will likely run a fluid 4-3-3. Fullbacks pushed high, midfield overloaded, designed to suffocate Uzbekistan with possession and rotation. 3 duels will define the 90 minutes. Uzbekistan's low block against Colombia's midfield triangles. Colombia's transition speed against Uzbekistan's counterattacking outlets. And on set pieces, Uzbekistan's physicality against Colombia's marking discipline. Here's the number that matters most. If Uzbekistan can survive the first 20 to 30 minutes without conceding, the pressure flips entirely onto Colombia's shoulders. No history. That's what makes this dangerous. These 2 nations have almost no competitive history against each other, no tactical patterns to study, no psychological edge built over years of meetings. And that's exactly why this game is unpredictable. There's no blueprint here, just 2 completely different footballing identities meeting for the first time on the biggest stage in the sport. When styles collide without history, that's usually when World Cups produce their best surprises. The 4 duels to watch. Shomurodov against Colombia's center backs. Can he hold the line and win the physical battles long enough to create something on the counter? James Rodríguez against Uzbekistan's midfield block. If he finds even a half yard of space between the lines, Colombia controls the entire game. Luis Díaz against Uzbekistan's right side. This might be the single most dangerous one-on-one matchup on the entire pitch. And the goalkeepers? In a match this tight, one mistake or one moment of brilliance could be the whole story. How they line up. Uzbekistan go with a 4-2-3-1. Yusupov in goal, a back four of Akhmalov, Kusanov, Sobirov, and Karimov, Hamrobakov and Saifiev anchoring midfield, Erkinov, Rashidov, and Shukurov just behind the front line, with Shamuradov leading the attack alone. Colombia answer with a 4-3-3. Vargas in goal, Munoz, Sanchez, Lucami, and Mojica across the back, Lerma, James Rodríguez, and Castaño controlling midfield, and Luis Díaz, Cordoba, and Arias forming the attack. On paper, Colombia have more individual talent in nearly every position. The question is whether that talent translates onto the pitch against a team built specifically to deny space. 3 questions that decide this match. Can Uzbekistan hold their defensive shape for the full 90 minutes against sustained pressure? Will Colombia break the low block early or get impatient trying? And can Uzbekistan turn 1 or 2 half chances into something historic? This has the shape of a tactical grind for Colombia and a defensive masterclass attempt for Uzbekistan. But at World Cup level, quality usually finds a way. Prediction: Colombia 2-0 Uzbekistan. Expect a tense, low-event first half and a more open second half as Uzbekistan's legs start to tire and Colombia's individual brilliance finally breaks through. This is one of those matchups that captures exactly what makes the World Cup special. Structure against flair, patience against improvisation. Uzbekistan will make Colombia earn every single inch. Discipline, compact defending, and tactical patience are their whole identity. But Colombia's depth and unpredictability in the final third give them the edge, provided they stay patient and don't force it. 3 things will likely decide the outcome: the timing of the first goal, individual brilliance in tight spaces, and whether Uzbekistan's concentration holds when it matters most. So, what's your call? Does Uzbekistan pull off a disciplined upset? Or does Colombia's attacking talent prove too much once again? Drop your prediction in the comments. I read every one of them. And if this breakdown gave you something to think about, that's exactly what Football Kick Theory is here for. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Because we're not just watching football, we're breaking it down.